Talking about erectile dysfunction is not easy, and most people make excuses. Like, I had a long day at work, or sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. It can be embarrassing. But now our friends at Roman have created a unique and secure way to deal with ED. With Roman, you will get a free online consultation with ongoing follow-ups, all from the privacy of your own home. A healthcare professional will work directly with you. If medication is appropriate, they will prescribe and it will be shipped directly to you. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. To get started, go to getroman.com/Chael. If approved, you will get $15 off your first order of ED treatment. Again, that's getroman.com/Chael. Usman Burns finally got a date. It's going to go down in February, and we were hearing these rumblings, right? I mean, this wasn't some secret. Burns was identified as the number one contender. I'm backing up. Burns is identified as the number one contender after he beats T. Wood. He's going to go on to fight Usman. A lot of guys had a problem with that, except Dana White, who said, no, this is what it is, and we're going to do this. Then Burns gets hit with COVID and misses the fight, but they don't scrap it. They just say, man, get better. We're not taking this opportunity from you. But then it never came back in terms of when. So it's been rumored it was going to be in February. It is now in February. Great. But it doesn't add any clarity to that division. I mean, that division, you're moving in a lot of directions. Like, here, let me ask you a question. Before you answer, because we all see the pieces that are on the table, which is Masvidal, Colby, what in the hell is the holdup? But let me ask you this. We have been seeing a lot of guys fill in. Call it the backup fighter, right? So are you going to have a backup fighter for the world title fight? Probably. You probably are, unless you're going to do a co-main event within the same weight class with two studs. That's the other way that the UFC will skin the cat. They'll just load the main card, but with guys within the weight class in case something happens. You pull this guy out, you put him there, you've still got a main event. Okay. Because I bring that to you because where's Chimaev in all of this? I would think that Chimaev would be the perfect guy with a win over Leon. I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Or Leon with a win over Chimaev, in all fairness, right? But I would think they would be the perfect backup fighter. February is not that far away. And I know the Chimaev gimmick is run him out there and run him out there again. I get all of those things, but if you're talking about a world championship, and now you're talking about coming off the number 3 guy in the world in your first ever main event, at some point you got to put the brakes on the gimmick and you got to focus on the title. But I think the same could go for Leon. Leon's done everything right too. If you're looking for a backup fighter for that night, I think a very good place to go. It doesn't make you a number one contender necessarily. We have seen very good things historically speaking with guys who have been the backup fighter. We have seen them get drawn in and become number one contenders. It's how Usman became a number one contender, just by example. He was backup fighter for Till versus Woodley, just by example. So we start to see these guys that do hatch into that, and it would seem as though when you're looking at the pieces and the players at 170 pounds, you got to find something for them to do, and there's got to be some pretty good rewards out there. Now, if that fight ends up not coming to fruition, is it much of a reward? Well, it's a risk. It's a big risk, but there was a big honor and a big payoff with it. Yes, I think that satisfies a problem. I really think it does. And I knew this Burns-Woodley was coming in. So did you guys, right? I didn't have like some inside news, but a little bit of inside news, which was we're lining up Submission Underground, and Burns was trying to get on it. Burns went after Nate Diaz specifically. Burns was like, hey, I'll put up 200 grand, you put up 200 grand, Chael holds the money and winner takes all. I mean, something like this was Burns' suggestion. And the night before Burns put that out, I booked Usman on the card. Usman was going to grapple Kelvin Gastelum. And UFC calls up and they go, look, saw the card, love it, love to see that match. Here's the deal. We're going to book those guys at the very first of the year. And we just can't risk anything in a grappling match. And don't forget the rules in grappling. You're only allowed to do 2 things. You are allowed to strangle and you're allowed to break limbs. There's nothing else within the rules. It is some of the most vicious rule, if you think about it in that regard. Like, it's this real family fun event. Kids are there. You know, kids sitting on mom's knee, watching older brother go out there and grapple him. It's one of these things, and I love the atmosphere and I love the feel of it. But if you look at the rules, you can only do 2 things. You can choke a guy or you could try to break his arm or leg. So when the UFC says, we don't want Gilbert on that card when we're going to book him. We don't want Kamaru on the card when we're looking to book him. It's hard to disagree. It's not really one of those things where you go, oh, guys, come on, it's a grappling event. Aha, everybody's going to have fun. It's not. And the UFC is too smart to fall for that anyway. I mean, it's one of these things. It hurt Submission Underground, but I was pretty happy that those guys are finally going to get this. Finally going to get. I don't know why we would put Kamaru Usman on a shelf ever. I have no idea. And I didn't like what was happening to Gilbert either. I mean, that guy worked his ass off and sacrificed to get to where he's at. Then he gets hit with COVID, 100% outside of his control. I mean, right, it's one of those things where every now and then in this sport, as cold as it can be, you got to do some things with heart. Giving a guy like Gilbert his opportunity that he earned and missed through no fault of his own, you got to have some heart. The UFC showed major heart. They rebooking the match, rebooking it in February. I'm looking forward to it.